Hey guys, so you ready for today's January 10th, 2019, 6:02 p.m. Central Time. This is an irritation and I will explain why. Based off of just what sits here on this document, you're going to say, well, it's not their fault, blah, 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 they should get back pay. That's not what I'm talking about. It has to do with what passed in the Senate today. Because furloughed means you're on leave, okay? Simple as that. There are many employees, many federal government employees that are working without pay right now, and they will get back pay. Makes sense, okay? But the furloughed federal government employees that are not in the buildings, not in the trucks, not in the vehicles, not doing anything at all, that are at home, are getting back pay. And for what? Because here's the deal. Follow me. I will show you what passed in the Senate. I assumed, because this has been thrown around everywhere, everybody, if you hadn't heard that these federal government employees that were furloughed weren't getting paid, you're under a rock, okay? They just aren't getting paid on time, which sucks, for sure. And that shouldn't be the case. Again, government illogical. I figured, and this was a huge assumption, that federal government employees in their contracts, they had built-in furloughed pay, just like you'd have paid leave, but you earn that shit. But there'd be a contingency money that these agencies would put aside, okay, for payroll, that if a government shutdown happened, they can take that money and pay the employees, ideally on time, okay? It's not the employee's fault that this is happening. I figured that was the case. However, I knew they weren't getting paid on time, but I figured that was the case. That is not the case, because the Senate proved that today based on what they fucking passed, okay? And they have to pass this every single time a government shutdown happens, apparently. They have to do it every time. Every time a government shutdown happens, they have to pass a bill like this in order for federal government employees to get paid. Retarded. These agencies... buildings are still standing. The vehicles still run. The gas is in the tank. The lights are on. The internet works. There is no reason for anyone to be furloughed right now unless that shit is off and not working or blown up, okay? If the buildings don't fucking exist and they fell over the day that the government shut down, okay. Obviously, that's not the case. Not every single building in the District of Columbia shut its lights off the day that the government shut down automatically. They were shut off manually, okay? So they should have, and I think these agencies have plenty of money to be paying bills, meaning electricity, internet, whatever, like overhead costs. No problem. But hey, what do I know? I don't own any these buildings, and I'm not in any of these agencies. But until those lights got shut off by the electric company, the gas tanks ran empty, vehicles stopped working, whatever. Employees should have been working, and the back pay they are getting should have actually been paid on time, but it'd be called furloughed pay or something of that nature. That is absolutely not the case. Again, I knew they weren't getting paid on time. That's not an issue. This is an issue. S-24 Government Employee Fair Treatment Act of 2019. It came out by Benjamin Cardin, Senator, Democrat from Maryland. This passed the Senate today, I believe by voice vote. It's not updated on congress.gov yet because it's not a live website. And this is what it's men's code, okay, men's U.S. code. And it adds to it that it says in here, the term covered lapse in appropriation means any lapse in appropriation that begins on or after December 22nd, 2018, because December 22nd was the day the government shut down. Period. So they have to do this every single time. Number 2, each employee of the United States government or of a District of Columbia public worker furloughed as a result of a covered lapse in appropriation shall be paid for the period of the lapse in appropriation. And each accepted, and they have the term of accepted means these people that fall under this. That's what that means. So each accepted employee who is required to perform work during a covered lapse in appropriations shall be paid for such work at the employee's standard rate of pay, which I don't think that's fair, at the earliest date possible after the lapse in appropriation ends, regardless of scheduled pay dates. I think anyone, like this is logical, total logical thought. And our government's so illogical. When a government shutdown happens, furloughed should have been built into these people's pay, and the agency should have put this payroll aside and all this shit for if this ever happened. Simple as that. We appropriate money for everything in this goddamn government. That should have been done. That way employees get paid on a furlough, on time, and everything else. But since we're at this point where they actually have to pass legislation to make this happen, and it's not built into the pay, is bothersome, because these people should be working. Now, if you're working without getting pay, meaning paid on time, you should be getting double pay or pay and a half or something of that nature. You should be getting something, I think, period, just because of how life works, okay? Because you're getting screwed. You're not getting paid on time. You're getting screwed. So these employees should not be getting paid by standard rate. Okay, they should be getting paid double pay, pay and a half, whatever, while they're not getting paid and they're working. Because that would be fair. So both things suck here. Okay? Furloughed is not built into these employees' pay. Dumb. So they're not getting paid on time. They're getting standard rate of pay when they get back pay for work. For the people who are working, they put in there, people who are working are just getting standard rate of pay. Now, the employees that aren't working, yeah, okay, fine, get a standard rate of pay. Still pissed off that furloughed is not built into these agencies. So, essentially, it's a bothersome. These agencies are still standing. The lights are still on. The internet works. Vehicles are working. Gas is in the tank. Everything's sitting there. The government manually shut these lights off and furloughed these employees because the Congress determined a date in which appropriations would, quote, end for these agencies, okay, and said, oh, the government shuts down December 22nd. Everybody shut your lights off, go home. That's dumb. That's so dumb. Our government's so illogical, but I found this out today when the Senate passed this bill that this was the case, and I was just like, seriously? More taxpayer money, and again, it's not against the employees, but more taxpayer money is getting shoved into these federal government employees that are not working. I'm not talking about the ones working, that are not working because of a government shutdown that isn't built into their pay. And you guys are bitching about a $5 billion wall that is there's a point, not 10%, 0.10% or 0.1, however you want to say it, percent of the budget for fiscal year 2019, $5 billion. That's what they're arguing about over a wall. $5 billion. They are spending over, I have it on my Twitter account, like 400 and some odd trillion dollars or something, $4 trillion, something. There's a trillion and there's a 4 in there for fiscal year 2019. And they're bitching about $5 billion for a wall. And we're pulling more money out of taxpayer money to pay for these furloughed employees because it's not already built into their shit and it's not built into the appropriations that Congress gives these agencies. And it's fucking ridiculous. And I figured I'd do this video because it was just stupid. I was like, I assumed, and I should never assume that this government is logical in any fucking way possible. But since this had been thrown around everywhere, that federal employees that are furloughed get back pay, I figured something was going on behind the scenes that had been taken care of already. And that's not the case. And that's annoying. Anyway, this is Are You Ready For It? Take care, guys. Have a great night.